Hello everyone, it's Bro back with another video, and we're gonna be talking about another Atlassian product, which is Compass. Now Compass is all about the focus on your engineering team. Remember, without your engineers, there's no product. You can have the best-selling idea, you can have the best designs, you can have the best prototype, but without them, it's impossible to build and develop great products. That's where Compass actually comes around. And really, Compass is all about the development focus. Either it's like uploading your source code, either it's like creating the components, and then those components you can also have your owner team. You can also have the chat channels. So everything that is relating the development topic can be actually done through the Compass. Now what it says in here is you can track all your services and systems to improve your software health and engineering standards and create better developer experience with Compass. That is the goal of Compass and its mission. Now, there are of course some things that you can actually read, but I want to get on right on the hands-on experience. So, first of all, when we go to the home, this is actually how the home of Compass will look like. You will have these options, first of all, to set up your Compass and to also have the visibility and ownership. You can go through these steps, where the first one is actually to connect your source code. You can do this either via the webhooks or connecting your repositories. You have three options for this, and these are GitHub, Bitbucket, which is also another Atlassian product that is being used for the developers, by the developers to actually deploy their code, and also GitLab. You also have the option to where it says Compass is a team sport, where all components in Compass should be owned by a team. So where you have options to create your teams, and if you go here, you can say team of developers, and I can say, okay, I'm gonna create this team. So this is the very first step. And what I can also do is I can assign ownership to components. Now, if you were creating some of the components in Jira, you probably noticed that some of the components are also being created for the Compass. Because for the Compass, everything is based on the components themselves. So, if you go for the components, I already have created one component which was called the Poseidon API, but let's say I want to create a new one, right? So you have these types right here. What does it say? It's like you already have some predefined, let's say, services, like a service, library, which is like collection of object functions and methods. Like you have, like every programming language has its own libraries that you can actually use in order to manipulate data. You also have the option for the application, where you can choose a fully packaged application like a mobile application, desktop, or the CLI tool, which is command line interface tool. Like you have it in Linux, or which is the terminal, or in the Windows, which is like the command prompt. You also have like capability, cloud resource, machine learning model. So a lot of things actually in here. So let's say I'm looking for application, right? And I'm gonna say, let's say Uber. Let's go with Uber. Now I have options for this, and I'm gonna say this is owned by the team called developers, or I can call it like Uber developers or Uber team or something like that. Probably you're going to be naming your team just like that, based on the product you're actually part of. I mean, the part of the team. Now when we actually go to create this, this is what we actually get. So what we can actually do is we can select the tier which says indicates how critical the component is to your business. So it says the lower the tier, but also it's the higher of the criticality. You probably have created some of the support tickets, and let's say it's like the priority itself, right? When you have the medium, low, lowest priority, you also have the high and the highest, or blocker, or however you want to call it. Tiers are basically the same. Now, what we also have in here is this is the owner team. Also have the option for chat channels if I want. So in here I can also include the URL of my chat channel. Now this can be any application that is being used for these chatting purposes. Now I believe that this could be also be Discord, this could be Slack channel. Mostly on your job you will be using Slack, because that is the most known application that is being used within the business sphere when it comes to the embracing the communication between you and your colleagues. Now I also have the on-call schedules where you can actually go with a PagerDuty or OpsGenie. Now OpsGenie is another Atlassian product that is actually being used. Honestly, I'm not really familiar with that, because my day-to-day work, it's all about Jira, service management, Confluence, and basically some of the Trello work as well, and that's it, nothing else. Also, there is an option to add the repositories, which is correct, because you have also to add the repositories from your GitHub, Bitbucket, or GitLab. You also have the projects that track this component's work. So we have this. We also have the documentation. So this is actually pretty interesting. Why? Because you can link some of the Confluence spaces or pages or everything that is actually important in here, and you can actually track this documentation down. You also have the option for the dashboards and for the other links as well. Now what we have is to copy the component ID here. We also have to change the component type. So now what we can do, instead of an application, we can say, well, basically we can say like, oh, this is a service now, or something like that. Now what we have is option to, let's say, add the deployments. Now in order to add the deployments, well, you actually need to, let's say, use this. I can install the Bitbucket in here, right? And I can install the Bitbucket, and I can say, you know what, I already have the Bitbucket. I can, let's say, install it in here, but you need to, well, have the Bitbucket account in order for this to be relevant. So this is the part of the activity where you can actually monitor through like a timeline how the deployments are actually going. So this is actually pretty great if you actually want to monitor some of the features and their code deployment frequency, in order to see if, well, developers are actually working on that feature. They are. Trust me. Alright. Now also we have the option for the scoreboards where it says the readiness. Now what we actually have in here, so it says in here it's for failing for less than a week. What does it say in here? Criteria not met. So I don't have a depository, and I also don't have a description. But for the description, I can say biggest delivery. No. That's not Uber. Biggest free. No. Cab. Let's say biggest transportation service. let's say. Maybe it's not. I'm not aware of it. And as you can see, the readiness of this component has increased for 20%. So it's now around 60%. And now it says, well, okay, so now it needs attention. What I can actually also do in here is I can through the compass, I can say, all right, you know what I want to do now? I want to create an issue in Jira. So let's go back once more, at a repository and everything. Create an issue, and basically this is it. Now what I can actually do, I can choose the site where I want to create it. I can choose, of course, the project and the issue type, and of course, the rest of the fields that are actually appearing on the create field. So that this is actually pretty great, because you can also reference to your Jira issue through Compass. So it's pretty great. I love it, and you will love it too as well. There's also option for the scorecards, and as you can see, these are the scorecards here, and you can apply some of the scorecards. You can no scorecards to display yet. Now what I can actually do is you can create your scorecard. Let's say I want to create it, and I want to say activity. How active are the developers? How to apply scoreboards with different methods. So you have manual or automatic, and I'd be using the manual. Now, distribute the weight of your criteria as evenly as possible amongst your criteria. You can also manually adjust these weights. So this is the criteria that is being measured on. Either you're going to have some kind of a criteria, or simply you're not going to have some criteria. So for example, I'm not going to be leaving this, but I did this on purpose. And I'm going to say 50% is going to go on the project. Choose a validation rule. Let's say any link is added. Alright, so I'm not going to be going with this one. And says, so they add up to 100%. So this needs to be 100%. So either weight of this one single-handedly is going to be 100%. If that is not the case, then you can add more of these items. But remember, their sum needs to be 100. And now, what does it say is, how active are the developers? Now we'd like to hear from you. Okay, so we're gonna dismiss this. And now we have project 100% of the details. Alright, that's actually pretty interesting. Now we have the activity. Now if you go back to the projects, we have the Uber now. And I can apply a scoreboard of activity. Now here it's still saying that, well, basically it's failing. And now the thing is, in here it's saying, well, there's no project. So this means when you add the project, it gets added automatically. And now you can actually see in here for the component readiness how it's actually being measured. Alright, okay, so we have that as well. What else you can actually create? So you can import the components. You can create a component. You can create the metric, which is another thing that you actually want to do, or to go with incoming webhooks. Now I also have the announcements for Uber, and I'm gonna say update version 2.0, for example. And I'm gonna say we're gonna announce this on Monday. Alright, so now this is going to be the announcement. And also we have the activity. Now when it comes to the activity, you have, well, interesting things going on. It almost looks like a timeline, well, which it is. And you can also choose between a timeline, you can also choose between the list. And where you can say, well, send events from a tool or the Compass REST API, and they will appear here. Now you also have the option to choose between the environments. In here, by the default, Compass has two environments, which is the production and which is also the staging environment. Production is actually the live application with the real data, and staging is actually almost like a real data, but this is not going live, so this is not changing anything. So you can basically test everything out and even, let's say, break the site. There are also dependencies, and you can say define relationships between the components. Let's say, what are kind of relationship with the components? Well, you have the front end of the application, you also have the back end of the application. So the front end, someone would actually explain, well, it's basically the UI you see when you actually visit the website, and everything that is happening behind the scenes when you actually fill out the form, or when you order pizza or something like that. It goes behind the curtain, and it's basically doing everything from the service side. That's the backend. That's what the backend is for. Now we also have the issues, but it says, well, none of the issues are actually linked with this component. And this is the mostly the use case that you're actually going to be using, which is going to be, then it says, from any company managed project, open components page and switch to Compass components. So that means if I go here for the engineering, and I go for the here, and I say, well, Jira components, switch to Compass components. And now it's actually, well, you have two software components issued, but none of them are actually linked to issues. Right. And it's not really saying much. Alright. So you're switching to the Compass components, which is an important feature of Compass. I will give you homework. I want you to actually go with this one and actually try to figure this one by yourselves. If you actually cannot do that, well, I will leave some of the link of the description, where the link in the description where in the whole documentation everything has been explained. Also, there is option for creating the templates as well, so that is another one. But in order to do this, you need to connect to your GitHub or Bitbucket, and of course, when it comes to health, you can also see what is actually going on. Now in here it says to apply the DevOps best practices at scale, where you can use core boards and metrics to keep components reliable and secure for teams to use. So that is why you want to be using the health option. Alright, so guys, this was like a basic explanation what Compass is, what the Compass is actually capable of. And yeah, that is everything. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Bye bye.